Welcome everyone. This is one of the most commonest tools out there, and these must have sold quite a few. Who knows, maybe millions of these were sold. This can be found pretty readily and one of the less expensive, even though this is from 1966. That's right. And of course, do you have extrasensory perception? This is when ESP was huge, and Milton Bradley came out with this particular game that has been researched, and the tools in here certainly are things that parapsychologists used. Now, using Kreskin's name in 1966, I was unaware that he was that popular then. Apparently he was. Maybe that's one of his heydays. Of course, he's still going today. I believe he's in his 80s doing shows out there. At this particular time, he was very big into ESP and had newsletters. I think he even had the little institute that specialized in this. With the mystery pendulum, answer your questions about love, career, finance, travel. For one or more players, object test your ESP powers. Explore your mental powers with the mystery of the pendulum. So this was very much geared towards pendulum use, which they include a pretty bad one in here. Now, as I said, Kreskin has basically taken the same tack of all his magicians do, and I believe Kreskin's an interesting person, and I do find him interesting. He claims to read 3 books a day, probably does. I'm not sure. You got to remember, he's a showman. He likes to talk like it's mind power and other things when he's really just doing a bunch of card tricks. So, but he is interesting. He's made predictions and other things that are in writing that are wrong. He's done all sorts of things that are dubious in nature as a typical illusionist. He calls himself a mentalist. Now, a mentalist is a stage magician that does things based in mental power or ESP-based type things. So he's going to guess cards. He's so forth. He's not going to do pull a rabbit out of the hat. He's not going to do traditional magician type things. He's going to do things that are mentally based. That's what mentalists are, and there's a lot of people do it. They give you fake psychic readings and all these other things. So it's one of those things that a mentalist is a type of theatrical magic. Let me put this down so I can prop this up a little better. And what is this basically? Well, it says here, obviously, Kreskin's ESP. Now, this game and everything here is designed extremely well. I doubt if Kreskin put it together himself. The game has also been marketed in England and Australia under Fransky or something like that, with the picture of him who must have been popular in Britain and in Australia at the time. But it's the exact same contents, game board, etc. So that's important to understand as well. So I don't know what his connection was, and apparently it was popular. He did have an ESP Institute, Kreskin, for a while, with newsletters, etc. I certainly like to see that. You know, the power of the mind is not something that he actually argues about, but he doesn't believe in psychic powers. He doesn't believe in hypnosis. He is a tact occultist. He had a little show out of Canada for 3 or 4 years interviewing people that were metaphysical. And this was back in the 70s, and he's called, he clearly states that he doesn't want to assist anybody's belief in occultism or the supernatural. He apparently is an Italian Polish, and he is an ardent Roman Catholic, I believe. So the whole idea is this is where he's coming from. So he's not some sort of metaphysical in-between. When it comes down to it, everybody's a fraud. there is no psychic power, etc., etc. There's no hypnotism, and he does this all the time. Hypnotism doesn't exist. These are the kind of things that come from the dumb bunker idiot skeptics, and he's like all the rest of them and very tiresome. And he's made a lot of errors as well throughout the years. He's written a lot of books which are interesting. Most of them are magic based. He has even a couple of videos, and of course you can pick up that old TV series I talked about. They have about 10 episodes you can buy as well, which is kind of fun to look back at all the classics that he interviewed. Basically what this is a big pendulum board, and it's a nice one. I mean, it's nice to have a big pendulum board that's on a board. This is a typical game board. It's a little on the large size, but you know, when you're using pendulums and starting out, this is something that you want. So you got a nice firm board which you can hold your pendulum on and over it. And of course, this is your typical kind of Ouija board pendulum thing. You hold the pendulum here and you ask a question and it spells the word out. C-A-T, cat. So whatever it is you're trying to get it. But that's very classic using a pendulum alphabetical chart. Then, of course, there's the classic charts that everyone uses in general, and that is the yes and no charts. Okay, so now I like spins. Clockwise is yes, counterclockwise is no, but a lot of people like the spin. Up and down is yes, cross is no. These are the type of things that are classic. I like to find the circles. This would be clockwise, yes, counterclockwise. I think it's more exact and you can kind of get a feel for the energy, but that's another thing that is for pendulum class. Here's and I'll turn this over. Now, we just showed you the alphabet. Here's the actual 1 to technically 10 number chart. You do the same thing if you want to ask the numbers. Find the lotto numbers. Find some sort of numeral value. Well, you would use a chart like this. So I don't know if people have seen that. I mean, they have a lot of these online where you can look them up on eBay and other places where they show you all this stuff. I don't know. I don't think anybody's seen it this close. Let me get the... well, here's the pendulum. Now, it would have been nice if they would have used a much better pendulum here. This is the pendulum you get, and I've seen even worse ones than this, but it's just a plastic pendulum. It's on a ball string like this, and it is hollow. Just a hollow pendulum. You can't open it up, and it's just standard like this, and these are pretty much the same pendulum is included in all the kits as far as I understand. It's the same type here. They do give you this also. Testing screen. Now, this is kind of cool and what's used in a lot of I mean, this is classic stuff that I'm assuming a parapsychologist helped out actually designing these things. But this is really nice to do telepathic sending of images and colors. So it's kind of cool. So you have this little thing here. You're looking at it. You only get one of these, so the it's actually, I believe the sender would use this. So if you want to send somebody a heart, you look at that and then you send it to him. You got the 4 dots, arrow, pyramid, check mark, and then of course you got the colors here. So, and you send some person a color. Can they sense it? Did they get the images? And again, different patterns is always nice to have. And as part of the entire process here. Now, you also do get, let me put these this down again. You also get actual cards with the same images on. Actually, I think it's the opposite. You would probably sit facing this, and he would pick a card, the sender would pick a card, and then he would think about this, and you look at your board and say, what is he sending me? And again, try and make things easy. Make it very simple, very easy to be successful when you're first doing all this stuff, and then as over time, get harder and harder. I mean, you've got a very weak muscle there. Don't try and pump iron over your head. Learn to pick up a few little tiny teacups before you start pumping iron. So always start off slow. So they have cards in all the designs you see here, including hearts, and then they have cards with all the colors on it. So this is very nice, and this all comes with this. I mean, this is a very professional parapsychologist's testing kit. They also have little cards that show you how to do a clairvoyance test, ESP rating scale, general ESP test card, matching test. So, I mean, all of these are in this kit. Pendulum, this nice, all the cards. This all comes with it. It's relatively, as I said, you can get these inexpensively. It also comes with, let me put this down again as I get the, it comes with a pretty cool instruction booklet here. Directions for playing Kreskin's ESP. Here's the book. Oops. Let's move this out of here so I can handle this a little better. Okay. But you get a complete instruction book here, which tells you how to do all sorts of testing with the ESP kits. Typical setup for testing. So it shows you how to test here, even gives a little graphic there. So it's very good here. I mean, this is a whole little parapsychologist manual on how to test things. I mean, how cool is that? So, ESP, it tells you how to use everything, how the cards, how to do everything. As I said, this is pretty dry, boring. How to hold a Kreskin ESP party. So I'm assuming all this was going on, and there has been several books written about ESP parties. Apparently people were doing that back then. There also is the advanced version of the Kreskin ESP kit, so it must have been very popular. We'll have another video on that. Using it as a lie detector, you know, and what goes with all this. So it's very, very thorough. It's a complete course in ESP testing. They also give you some cool charts here, which we'll go over right now as well. Here's a cool chart, careers. You can see some. You have that typical swing. So if you have a career question, here's a finance question. Yes, no, again, with the typical up or down, back and forth. Or you can use the circle as well. It's totally up to you. How about travel? Should I travel? Where should I go? I don't know if the pictures there mean should I go to Paris or London? Go by plane or air? I don't know. You could use it that way, meaning should I go to Paris or London? You could hold the pendulum here and then it'll either swing here or swing there. Or you get your usual yes or no. Here we go again. Love. There's another. So these all come with this. Very, very good kit. I mean, you just can't beat this. It's one of those altogether good start-off tools. We occasionally sell these, so check our link. But these are readily available. There's no shortage of these. Sometimes if you look and look and look, you can grab one and get it cheap. Sometimes these are very expensive, but you can generally, because there's so many of these, they must have sold millions of these, or at least hundreds of thousands. They're out there all over the place. So generally, if you go to eBay, you can pick this up pretty cheaply. Or we may have a cheap one we're selling, so check our link. But these are going up rapidly as well. And of course, you get your typical ESP test pad. So this is where you record your answers, etc. And this game was never used. You can see it's a brand new pad. A lot of people don't record their answers anyway, and you have that on there. That's pretty much the entire kit. Here's the little box it comes in. See, it's got his picture on there, says ESP. This is where the pendulum and cards are kept. And this is where all the other material and then the game board and the other pieces go right on top of that. So this certainly is an extremely fine, well put together, well researched. As I said, this is all put together by parapsychologists. I'm sure they may have even though I can't find any references to it, may have talked to J.B. Rind and his institute to help put this together. Or maybe Kreskin did it. As I said, back then, Kreskin was the big ESP guy, and there was no problems with psychic power. Now, of course, all of these people have went into retardation and think that all of this stuff is a joke. It's amazing how there seems to be a magician's club of mental midgets that all get together and try and condemn 150 years of research by top researchers and follow bogus, ignorant clown school graduates, devious, criminally convicted of felony people, and all the other scumbuckets you can think of. Those are your skeptics and debunkers. Those are the top people in the field. Really amazing to do that. And of course, Kreskin hasn't changed. And of course, when you could make money with ESP, it was all great for EXP, and this is certainly fantastic. And his other advanced tool, which again, I'm assuming, I don't know, I don't think he had much to do with all this stuff, but may have had a little, is a fantastic training and testing tool. This is great. Everyone should own. There's several things you could own, but you've got to have something like this. This gives you the foundation. And you know, pendulums are critical. Pendulums are critical to your work as a manifesting scientist. They're critical to judge things, find out energy fields, etc. You need pendulums, and there's so many types of them and everything else. Well, this really isn't a good pendulum. It's good to start off with. Matter of fact, I use a plastic one daily, and I don't quite understand why the plastic is working better for me, but we'll show you that tool as well in the future. The other thing is the fact that you can get lots of pendulums. There are all types of crystals, shapes, etc. We offer many on the website, so check those out. Some really good ones, which we know are the best. So do check that out. But this gives you